Ever since the platform has commenced, I've tried to, and I think succeeded, in getting experts in their particular area to join us and to give us the benefit of their insights, their intellect, their intuitive understanding of the fields in which they are expert in. One of those has been Dr. Nina Hood, who is the founder of the Education Hub. And Nina's got an interesting background. She was a trained secondary school teacher. She taught at Epsom Girls Grammar, Mount Roskill Grammar in Auckland, well-respected schools. She undertook an MSc, which Master of Science in Learning and Technology. And then later she did a Doctor of Philosophy in Education, or a doctorate at the University of Oxford, which is pretty damn good. Since returning to New Zealand in 2015, so it's 9 years ago, she was employed as a senior lecturer at the Faculty of Education at the University of Auckland. And she founded the Education Hub, which is a sort of learning resource for educators, basically, in 2017. The idea being, according to their own description, it was a mission to bridge the gap between research and practice in education. So the idea of making all that research that happens both nationally and internationally available in a dispassionate and informed way to better educate educators as to what worked essentially and what didn't, which is really at the aim of all research at the end of the day. She joins us now, but with great changes afoot in her life, and to give us her perspective of where we're going over the next wee while in the last 4 months, and probably more importantly over the next 4 years, she joins us now. Nina, welcome to the show. I hear you're leaving.
You're well informed, Michael. Yes, well, partially. I've made the decision to step down from my current role at the Education Hub, but I'll be staying on as a trustee, so I'm still going to be around, just in a slightly different capacity.
You founded the Education Hub, as I said, 7 years ago, or almost 7 years ago, with the idea of bridging what you describe as the gap between research and practice in education. Do you think the Education Hub is now regarded as authoritative in that respect?
Yeah, I think increasingly so. I mean, I'm the sort of person where I always think that there's more to be done and more that can be done. But yes, I think increasingly over the last 7 years, we've become a voice, a trusted voice, I'd say, in education in New Zealand. And people come to us because they know that what they're going to be able to engage with is based on research. It's not based on ideology. It's not based on what's currently happening in policy. And they know that it's going to give them a fair and relatively impartial view of what works and what doesn't work in education.
You're also a bit like the platform in one way, and that it says you're quite happy to entertain voices that say different things. You obviously are quite a believer in free speech and freedom of thought. And I applaud you for that. But one of the things I have noticed is that you have or share many concerns that many parents have as well. And I guess that's why you founded the Education Hub. You've got kids of your own. How old are they?
So I've got a 5-year-old and a nearly 3-year-old.
Okay, so they're about to enter the compulsory education system.
The older one started last year.
Okay, is the compulsory education system in New Zealand fit for purpose?
My honest answer is no, I don't think it is at the moment. And that's not to say that everything's bad about it, and that it's all a disaster, or that your children aren't going to get some really great experiences at school. They most likely will. I just don't think that at the moment it's designed to have the full impact that we want it to have.
Does that mean, well, what do you mean by that? So I take it, because you're a smart lady and because you're a parent, that you're talking about, when you talk about maximising opportunity, making sure that basically every child reaches their potential. Is that what you mean?
Absolutely. So I think, for me, when I think about the education system, I think that we need to take a really good hard look at exactly what it is we want young people to know and be able to do by the time they leave school. And to make sure that our education system is set up to ensure, like you say, that every single child actually has access to that and is able to develop that base knowledge and then to also have the opportunities to go beyond that as well. And I'm not convinced that that's happening across the board at the moment.
I've got 3 children. One has left the compulsory education system. She's heading off for her first year at Auckland University this year. Another is in year 13. And I've got a boy who's in year 11, who's, I think the definition is neurodiverse, but he's having Cambridge assessment. Their school has gone down that line for this year. So there are 3 different kids, as I imagine all children are. But one of the things that I, as a parent, wonder about is the same as, and so they've come to the end of they're coming to the end of the system, if you like. Your children are about to enter the system, Nina, is whether or not when they leave the New Zealand compulsory education system, so my daughter going to university, my other daughter in year 13 this year in particular, whether or not they are armed sufficiently to be able to compete with their peers in Australia, Singapore, Canada, United States, the UK. What's your assessment?
So I'm always just a little bit wary of cross-country comparisons. So I would say to some degree it depends, because we know that, let's just take your children for example, schooling does so much, but we also know that there are a whole range of other factors, most importantly the family, that play a massive role in determining outcomes and ability to compete with others around the world. So I think that you've got a sort of mix of factors going on there. And I think it's also true that a number of education systems around the world are grappling with the question of whether what they are currently doing is enough, is fit for purpose. So we're not the only country that is having these conversations. However, I do worry that increasingly in New Zealand we are not making the changes that we need to, or we're not really thinking about these issues with the urgency that I think we need to, which would potentially set us behind other countries.
One of the other things I've noticed is I was thinking to myself, gosh, since Erica Stanford's become the Minister of Education, that portfolio seems to have gone very quiet. And so I went onto her website this morning thinking that, and noticed that she had put out media releases, but they hadn't been well covered at all. In particular, a media release that she put out on the 29th of January, which is not all that long ago, 10 days ago roughly, in which she talked about cell phones in classes, but also the need for explicit curricula, I guess regularity, or yes, a curriculum that is the same in every school, particularly around reading, writing and maths. And then this ministerial advisory group working on English and maths curriculum and focusing on the science of learning. That latter one I would have thought is quite important. Are you on that ministerial advisory group?
I'm not on that ministerial advisory group, no, but I know a number of the people that are. Yeah.
Well, in your view, are they of sufficient calibre to provide robust advice to the Minister?
I think there are some excellent people on that group that will be able to bring some really fantastic ideas into those conversations and those decisions around curriculum. So I have no doubt that we're going to see some changes happen as a result of the work that they're doing. But as you said, they're only working at the moment across those two subject areas, the English and the maths, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens with the remainder of the curriculum as well.
I get the feeling from looking at Erica Stanford's media releases that she has put out that there's more of an emphasis upon primary and intermediate schools, the basics there, than upon secondary. Is that your impression as well?
Yes, I think most of what we've seen come out at the moment has definitely been focused on that primary and intermediate level. So if you think about, the couple of announcements that have come out, one is around the hour of reading, writing and maths every day, and that's in years 0 to 8. So that's very much at that primary and intermediate. And and the work that they're doing around the English and maths, that takes us up to the end of year 10, but not at the moment looking beyond that. Although I'm guessing that at some point in time there will be more coming out about those upper secondary years as well.